And welcome back to Philly Sports Spotlight. I'm Phil Andrews, and now joining us on the set, Philadelphia Inquirer sports columnist Phil Anastasian. Folks, when it comes to high school football here in South Jersey, they say that Phil Anastasia is the man. And you've had the pleasure, Phil, over the last couple. By the way, welcome to the show.
Oh, nice to be here.
Nice to see you again after all these years. You've had the pleasure over the last couple of years of watching two athletes that are just phenomenal athletes, both heading to big-time programs. One of those players is Anthony Averett out of Woodbury. Tell us about him and what he's all about.
Yeah, Anthony, is a remarkable athlete. I mean, he's a kid who is a tremendous track athlete. He actually had a long jump of 25 feet last spring, which, to put that in some perspective, that's the second longest long jump by a New Jersey athlete, second only to Carl Lewis. But he's not a track guy playing football. He's a football player. Built like a track athlete. He's about 6 foot tall, 6'1", 180. Rangy type kid, but he's a tough kid. Has functional football speed, not just track star speed. And he's going to Alabama as a defensive back. He's an Alabama type defensive back in that he's a rangy kid. He can play some press coverage and, obviously has that toughness to play in the Southeastern Conference. So he's a special kid and has had a special career at Woodbury.
By the way, for you young people out there, Carl Lewis, big-time Olympian athlete from down here in South Jersey, just for those young people who don't remember who he is.
Google it.
Yeah, Google that name, if you will. Now, he has a friend, Anthony does. They live real close to each other. They go to different schools. And the other athlete we're talking about is Corey Clement of Glassboro. He, too, headed to a big-time Division I college program.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. These guys are best buddies. They live around the corner from each other in Glassboro, but Anthony goes to Woodbury because his mother's a teacher there. Corey Clement is on his way to University of Wisconsin, South Jersey's all-time leading rusher, fourth in state history with like 6,200 career yards. Stocky, very low-to-ground type runner. Not great speed in terms of pure track speed, but one of these kids that just knows how to run, runs with a lot of patience, balance, great vision. And I think he'll fit in very well at Wisconsin. They like to run downhill, and I think that's perfect for him. So, he's obviously excited to be going to Wisconsin. Anthony's excited to be going to Alabama. And they're actually going to finish their high school careers playing together in the Semper Fi All-American game out in California in January. So they'll finally play together in their last high school game.
Have you taken a look at either schedule, Alabama or Wisconsin, to see if they have a chance of playing each other on the next level?
Well, they're not scheduled to play in the regular season, but both of them say, they're going to play in the BCS title game when they get there. So,
Very good.
We'll see about that, but they certainly would love to play together. Anthony just made an unofficial recruiting visit down to Alabama over Thanksgiving weekend to see the Auburn game, and Corey went with him. I mean, that's how close these guys are. They made the trip together. So certainly they've represented South Jersey very, very well, the state of New Jersey very, very well, and they're excited about playing big-time college football.
And they talked about Corey going on to Wisconsin. It seems like the Badgers have a recruiting pipeline here to South Jersey. We're going to get to that in just one moment. Now, somebody told me that Phil Anastasia likes a good challenge, and so I put him to a challenge and to find out why South Jersey is such a recruiting hotbed. And he came up with his top 10 former high school stars from this area that have gone on to the next two levels and done very well. I must say, Mr. Anastasia, I was very impressed with your list.
Well, it's tough to come up with 10 because, like most areas, Jersey has its, its great players that came out of here. So I was able to come up with 10, although, there was a few I left off, including Joe Flacco, who's at Baltimore right now, but I don't think he's played long enough yet. Number 10 on my list would be Milt Plum. Played a long time ago at Woodbury High School, early 50s. Penn State star, 12-year NFL career, played in 2 Pro Bowls. So, he was an early sort of South Jersey football star, Milt Plum. Lydell Mitchell out of Salem will be number 9. Lydell, the thing that's memorable about him to me is he sort of was one of the first running backs who was a great great receiver also. Caught the ball a lot out of the backfield. Great career with the Colts. Ron Dane, who Corey Clement kind of is following in his footsteps. He won the Heisman, at Wisconsin, almost 6,400 career rushing yards at Wisconsin. Irving Fryer, terrific player out of Rancocas Valley, went to Nebraska, number 1 overall pick in the '84 draft, and had a great NFL career, 5 Pro Bowls and almost 13,000 career rushing yards. Dwight Hicks, 4 Pro Bowls, 2 Super Bowls, the first 2 Super Bowls in San Francisco, kind of started that run for them in the early '80s. Great career at Michigan, 4 Pro Bowls, terrific defensive back. Mike Rozier, South Jersey's other Heisman Trophy winner in '83, actually went to Nebraska with Fryer. He and Fryer played together at Nebraska, had a tremendous college career. Art Still, Camden in the early 70s, went to the University of Kentucky, was the 2nd overall pick, terrific pass rusher in his day, and made 4 Pro Bowls. Art Still was something special. Deron Charity, interesting thing about him is not drafted out of Rutgers, went on to make 6 Pro Bowls, 50 career interceptions, tremendous free safety with ball skills. Dave Robinson, a guy had a wonderful career at Morristown in the late 50s, went to Penn State, played for 3 NFL championship teams with the Packers, including the first 2 Super Bowl champions in NFL history. And number 1 on the list, Franco Harris, Hall of Famer, 9 Pro Bowls, 4 Super Bowls, and maybe the most famous catch in NFL history, the Immaculate Reception.
And of course, like you said, those are your top 10, and there's still some players that you left on the outside looking in, but we're going to save that for another show. Like I said, folks, he accepted the challenge and knocked it out of the park. Very, very impressive. Mr. Anastasia, listen, don't go anywhere, because we're going to have you come back in our next block and have you talk about kind of the end of the Andy Reid era, if you will, of course, coming off the Monday night loss to the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to get your perspective. You've covered Andy since he arrived here, and I just want to get your thoughts on how things are wrapping up here. Okay, turning our heads, if you will, to college football. Former New England Patriots offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien, of course, was nominated and given the Big Ten Coach of the Year award. And he also said that despite the fact that NFL teams have been trying to lure him back to the pro level, he's willing to stay at Penn State out there in Happy Valley and let things work themselves out. I mean, this guy took over a team in the midst of that whole Jerry Sandusky mess. They started 0-2 but finished 8-4, so I think rightfully so. He ends up with the Big Ten Coach of the Year award, and it's going to be nice to see what he can do. And keep in mind, they lost a lot of their top players too. So what he did out there was remarkable, and I wish him well down the road. Okay, folks, time to take a break. When we return, we'll begin previewing the Philadelphia College basketball programs. Stick around as we take a look at the City Six. That's right after this break.